Hello, this is going to be a little extra demo tutorial that I'm doing based on the polygon modeling of the interior of a room that you just did. And to do modeling or anything in Maya, sometimes there is not just one way of getting one result. There are different procedures to get the same results, and it just is a matter of trying different things out and seeing what you prefer and seeing what the specific thing you're trying to model or animate, what the best tools and the best procedures are. So I'm going to be doing the interior of a room here, and I'm going to be using just one way that I know how to do it, and there's various ways I could go about it, but I'm just going to show you kind of one way. So I'm going to start with a fresh Maya here, and I'm going to build the interior of a room, and I'm going to start with a cube. You can create a cube by going Polygon Primitives Cube, making sure that interactive creation is off because I hate that. Or you can go make a cube from your shelf here, and I have the polygon shelf selected, and I just have these pre-made buttons, and I can make a cube. And the cube comes in. Usually it comes in unshaded. If I press 5, it'll become a shaded cube. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my interior of my room is going to be big enough to accommodate what I want to do. So I'm going to start off by just scaling up this cube here and making it the size of a room, making sure that I have enough space inside of my interior to put in the furniture, put in the wall ornaments, put in the characters. And one thing I really like is that I like to have enough ceiling. I want to make sure that even though you may not see the ceiling, you want to make sure that the walls are tall enough. And you could even, I like to make it just a little more than I think. Maybe that's a little too much, so I can bring it down like that. So I'm going to make my room interior, and I'm going to bring it just above the grid, like that. So there we go. There's going to be my room. Now, of course, we're going to be modeling the inside of the room, which means I'm going to be working on the inside here. But as you can see, I'm kind of cramped, and as I come back, my view gets obscured by the walls behind me, which now are in front of me. So I have to come in and I have to scroll in and out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this cube geometry, and I'm going to press Control A, open up its attributes editor, and in the attributes editor, I've already had this open. It's going to open up like this. I want to go to the polycube shape that I have selected and go into Render Stats. Open up the Render Stats tab, scroll down. I'm going to uncheck double-sided and check opposite. Now what that does is that this is a display of what the cube is, but it's basically showing just all of the faces that are facing inside. Okay, so I can scroll back, I can see these walls that I've made, and I can scroll in and out, and I'm not really hindered by those opposite walls. I could get rid of them if we're not going to see them, but if you're building an environment that's going to show 4 walls, you can definitely use this little trick. So I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to start to build some of the details on my walls here. So now I have my geometry selected, and I'm going to build a door. I'm going to cut a door out of this wall here, and there's going to be a door going out there. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to select my geometry, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, and I'm going to go to Insert Edge Loop Tool. Now what this does is this gives me a tool, and you can see that it said click on an edge, and that went away because I moved it. But if I go to an edge here and I click it, and I hold down the left mouse, it's going to give me an indication line of where it's going to split that polygon. And because there's all 4 sides all the way around here, it's going to split this cube all the way around like so. Now my split polygon tool is still active, so I'm going to make the other side of the door, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to go about there, and I'm going to put I'm going to split the polygon there. Now I want to cut out the top of the door, so I'm going to go about here, go right about there, and so. Now I clicked the select tool here to make the tool inactive, and I'm going to go back, right mouse marking menu on the object, and put it back to object mode. Now I have split this cube polygon all the way around, and it's kept everything as four-sided polygons now, which is something that you kind of want. And I'm going to go, and here's where my door is. Now I want to get rid of this door. I want to get rid of that face there so I can build a door there. So I'm going to come in a little closer here. With the object selected, I'm going to right mouse, and I'm going to marking menu down to face. And if I scroll around, it's going to show you the face that is selected. I'm going to select that door face. I'm going to select it, click it, and then delete it. And now I've essentially made an opening for my door. We have double-sided opposite on, so you can't really see it from the outside, but that doesn't matter. We're not really going to pay much attention to that. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is that you notice that the walls are kind of thin here. So I'm going to put it back to object mode here. And you notice that the walls are sort of thin, and it's not really, I want to add some thickness to this door. So to do that, I'm going to right mouse marking menu, and I'm going to select the edge tool. So now I can select the edges on this door here. So I'm going to select and then shift select all four edges of the opening of the door. Now I'm going to go to edit mesh, extrude, and that gave me the extrude tool here. Now if you were looking at the tutorials, you'll notice that the extrude tool that comes out of is sort of this interactive all-in-one tool, and if I were to move my my tool back like that, you're going to see that it's not really working very well. I'm going to undo that. So I want to deselect that tool. I don't want to deselect. I want to keep that extrude that I made selected, but I'm just going to press the W key, and that's just going to make it the move tool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring out those edges so I have the opening for a door, a little bit of thickness, so the walls look like they're thick, like so. Great. And now I've made, bring it back to object mode, and now I've made the opening for my door. Alright, the next thing I want to do, I have my door here. Now, eventually I'm going to want to put an actual door there. Let me show you one other thing. Let's just say I'm kind of not really digging the size of that door, and I want to make it a little smaller. That looks kind of like a big door. But if I wanted to tweak some of those, some of the dimensions a little bit, what I could do is let's just take it from here, and I'm going to go, either I could do the edge tool, and I'm going to drag select just that edge, but see it dragged these other edges. Let's go to vertex tool. I'm going to click drag those vertexes, and I can, just by moving these vertices, I can change the size of my door here and just change it a little bit. Great. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to put a window here. I'm going to put a window on this wall here, and I want to make it one of those windows with the 4 panes, so it looks like there's like those panes of glass in it. And I'm going to be using another tool called the Boolean tool. And to do that, bring this back to object mode. I'm going to make another cube here. I'm going to bring the cube here, and I'm just going to bring it to that wall, and I'm going to size it to the size dimensions that the window, I intend the window to be. I'll make it a little bigger. It really doesn't matter. Let's make it about that big. Okay, like so. Okay, that's about the size of the window that I intend to make. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to do a little something to this here. With that cube, that new cube selected, I'm going to go into the inputs history, the construction history here, and I'm going to make the subdivision width 2 and the subdivision height 2. And subdivision width, come on, come on. And does that need to be 2 also? Okay, so we're going to make the subdivision width, height, and depth 2. If we were to go make that 1, let's see what that would do. Okay, that's actually not too bad. So you only have to do, if the cube is oriented in a certain way, I've just done the height and the depth too. So basically what it did is it quartered that cube into 4 cubes stuck together. So now I'm going to make a shape, a punch that's going to indicate how I want the shape of the window to be. So I'm going to right mouse marking menu, and I'm going to go to face so I can select the faces, and I select those 4 faces right there, and I'm going to go to edit mesh, and I'm going to uncheck, if it's not already unchecked, keep faces together. What that does is when I go do an extrude, it's not going to keep those polygons stuck together. So then I'm going to go to edit mesh, and I'm going to go extrude. Now with that interactive tool still active, don't deactivate it. I'm just going to scale it down with the square tool, scale it down in the X and scale it down in the Y just a little bit. So you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just scaling down those extruded cubes. It's not pulling them out, it's just making them smaller on the cube below it. Okay, so now with those cubes still selected, I'm going to edit mesh, extrude one more time, and I'm going to pull them out just a little bit. Doesn't matter, about like there, and good, and we're good to go. So that's going to be basically these are going to be openings for the window. I'm going to bring it to object mode. I'm going to select it, go to edit, delete by type, and delete history, and that's going to take any kind of construction history away, which will help alleviate some problems later.